Rotten Tomatoes, and movie critics. Sort of like climate change, people have known about these things for a long time, and yet for some reason, they just can't get their stupid brains to understand the basic concept of them. This video is about pretty much explaining to people not only what Rotten Tomatoes is, and pretty much explaining why studios, especially Disney, don't bribe them or pay them off. Now, I can already tell you're in the comment section going, oh, well, Christian, here's a number of things why you're wrong. Save that for the end of the video, for when you actually finish watching it, alright? At least watch the video before you comment, alright? Cool. Anyways, yeah, for some reason, this is a really funny thing that happened. Like, Mulan. Yeah, Mulan is coming out. Well, actually, no, it is out on Disney Plus with Premier Access, where for $30 you can purchase it, and it's in your Disney Plus library for as long as you have a Disney Plus account. And of course, the Rotten Tomatoes score came out, and oddly enough, for a Disney remake, it's doing really well. 79% of the critics gave the movie a positive review, over 200 of them, and it has gotten certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you're wondering what certified fresh means, I will get into that here in a bit. I will explain that. But of course, oh, those people are back. You know those people I'm talking about, the ones who always say, oh yeah, it's pretty obvious that many critics are paid off by Disney, or simply do not want to look bad towards them because this is frankly insulting. Or this one guy named what's his name, Ofer G, says, no doubt the critic reviews above are either bought by Disney or trying to appeal to what they think children and their parents would want to see. Oh boy, these people are back. After quite a few years, these idiots have returned to the internet saying, ah, I don't like this Disney movie that critics say was good, or at least that the critics liked, so therefore, the critics must be paid off. There's no other explanation for this. It couldn't possibly be because of a differing opinion. There's no way that I might just be in the minority of an opinion, which is perfectly fine. No. The critics must have something behind them. It must be the critics who are wrong. It must be the critics that are bought off by Disney. I've heard this shit so many times over the years, and this is my tipping point. I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm making this video. I'm making this video, not that it won't change the minds of people who are already convinced that Disney pays off critics. No, those idiots are long gone. I'm just hoping that I can educate those people who don't really have a side in any of this, and just, like, pretty much give them a perspective of the facts that completely go against their claims. But before I do that, however, I need to pretty much explain how Rotten Tomatoes works, and because it is, you know, worth noting what Rotten Tomatoes is. Many people don't grasp how Rotten Tomatoes works. Rotten Tomatoes is not a movie reviewing website. Rotten Tomatoes does not give, you know, Mulan a 79%. They don't choose to give it certified fresh. What Rotten Tomatoes does is that it takes reviews from critics all over the world and whatnot, like a bunch of critics, and pretty much makes a percentage, creates a percentage by putting them all together as to how many critics liked or disliked a movie. Now, some people say, oh, well, Metacritic is better because there's the individual scores and whatnot, like you get a more accurate representation. I don't think that's true, because every critic has a different rating system. Every one of them has a different rating system. Like, some might have their top score might be 4 stars, or 5 stars, 10 stars. Some people don't even do stars. Sometimes they just do letter grades. Or some people, like Jeremy Johns, have like these sort of sarcastic kind of rating systems, like awesome, tacular, dog shit, buy it on Blu-ray, alcohol, like it's good, you know, it's a good time, no alcohol required, a good time if you're drunk, forget in T-minus 10 minutes, or 1 hour, or whatever, I don't know, or 1 day. Or like Double Toasted. Double Toasted has their own rating system, but like they have a rating system that's like, full price, better than sex, matinee, well, better than 6 is like their top grade. Then you have like, you know, some old bullshit, rental, and then just fuck you. That's like their like the bottom of the barrel movies are just fuck you, which is kind of funny. And then some critics have letter grades, like Chris Stuckman. He has letter grades like A+, A-, A, you know, C+, F. You know how letter grades work. You went to school, hopefully. Yeah, and some critics don't even have rating systems at all. Like Doug Walker, he doesn't really have a rating system. Or John Campea, he doesn't do rating systems anymore. So when you have all of and it's not just that makes a problem with Metacritic, but it's also that some critics interpret the ratings in different ways. Like, for example, a C+. Well, what's a C+? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it the middle of the road? Like, it's really hard to try to figure out. And so I think that's what makes Metacritic. It's in terms of like a general sense, I guess, but at the same time, like, it doesn't really quite accurately show what critics are thinking, because everyone's ratings is so different, and they have to pretty much, and like Metacritic has to pretty much interpret whether something is good, bad, middle of the road, or whatever. It's really confusing that way. Rotten Tomatoes, it's just simple. How many critics liked a movie? How many critics disliked a movie? It's simple, and to the point. And so, in case you're wondering, that's how Rotten Tomatoes works. It's not a movie reviewing website. Rotten Tomatoes does not give a movie a score. They just, they just show the percentage of the critics that liked or disliked a movie, which again, I think is very useful. But that hasn't stopped some people from bashing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Here's how Rotten Tomatoes works. If a movie has a 59, like 59% of the critics or lower, it gets a green splat. It gets a rotten green splat. 60% of the critics or more liked it, it gets a fresh tomato. If 75% of the critics liked it, as well as I think at least 80 reviews, as well as 5 top critics on Rotten Tomatoes, then a movie gets certified fresh. And it can retain that certified fresh status if it goes under 75 until it reaches 69, where it loses the certified fresh rating and it goes back into a tomato, which has been the point of some controversy for some people. Like, for example, Joker was initially certified fresh, but enough negative ratings came in to where it got a 68%, which for some reasons people still think that's bad when clearly it's not. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as it could be, but 68% is still a lot better than what DC had been doing previously. It's better than Man of Steel's score, it's better than Batman v Superman's score, it's better than Suicide Squad's score, it's better than Justice League's score. Like, for DC, that's great, that's good. And to be honest, I can see why some people might not like Joker. Now, granted, Joker was my number 2 movie of the year of 2019 for me. Like, I love Joker. Hell, I bought that shit on 4K Blu-ray. But I can see why Joker would be so off-putting. It is a very uncomfortable movie. It does get into that really dark shit that's just like, oh god. Where it's not like blood heavy, but it's like the context of the violence makes it really like uncomfortable to watch at times. But again, I'm fine with that. Like, it doesn't change my opinion if someone doesn't like Joker. It's just like, I can see why somebody would be off-put by it. And again, 68% is a good rating. But no, people, that didn't stop, the trolls from going, that's why DC's no, not DC. That's why critics are a joke. Like, the critics hate Joker. We, the fans, can appreciate true art. I'm like, dude, don't. Like, don't. I love Joker. I think it's a masterpiece. But don't go and say some pretentious shit like that. Not really on Joker's sake, but for your sake, because it makes you sound cringy when you're like, true art. Like, I mean, come on. Even real critics don't do that nowadays. Like, come on. And also, I find it funny that people try to say that critics hated Joker Like, critics are jokes, they don't understand Joker. Really? Because, if I'm not mistaken, Joker got 7 Critics' Choice Award nominations, including Best Picture, and winning 2 of them for Best Actor, Joaquin Phoenix, and Best Score, Hildur Gudnadóttir. Like, yeah, I guess the critics hated Joker, right? I mean, because obviously they wouldn't nominate a movie for Best Picture if they liked it. That doesn't make any sense. Basically, if you want to look at this, it's really like the critics that did like Joker really liked Joker, and there weren't really that many critics who like hated Joker. They just didn't find it appealing to them. Again, 68% is not a bad rating. It's a good rating, especially for DC. And again, critics seem to like Joker enough to nominate it for Best Picture at the Critics' Choice Awards, and have the movie win 2 of them, including Best Actor. But no, people said, critics are paid off by Disney to give their movies good reviews. Apparently, again, like that's what they said. Like, the critics are paid off by Disney. And look, I'm not gonna act like, Rotten Tomatoes is above criticism. Like, there are certainly things you can criticize Rotten Tomatoes for. Like, for example, when Justice League was coming out, they had this really, Rotten Tomatoes had this one really stupid thing going on that was very short-lived called See It or Skip It, where basically it would come on Fridays, I think it was Fridays, and the tomato meter for a certain movie of that week would be revealed. And that week it just so happened to be Justice League. And everyone got mad, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was stupid as well. Because, like, wait, not really because they're trying to hide anything from Justice League or whatever. I mean, that's not really what I was concerned over. My concern over was, wait, so you're gonna start, like, holding off the tomato meter, for your stupid show? Like, that's really stupid. That's baiting your audience to try to watch your show. Again, it's really stupid. Again, it's not like they're bribing critics to give the movie good reviews, because again, that didn't work out. Like, Justice League has a 40%. That's not good. Or, like, that doesn't mean the movie's not good. I should probably also reemphasize this. Whether a movie gets a rotten splat or a green or a fresh tomato or certified fresh, that doesn't make the movie, it's like, if a movie gets a green splat, that doesn't make it a bad movie, nor does it, or if a movie gets a fresh tomato, it makes it a good movie. No. That, like, in terms of good or bad or whatever, that's subjective. That's up to you as an individual to figure out for yourself. Like, once again, it just shows the percentage of the critics that thought it was good or bad. But again, it doesn't make it any kind of a fact. It just shows, what the overall majority opinion is, and whatever. But, like, again, even though I will criticize Rotten Tomatoes for this, once again, it's not like they falsified the information from, like, the ratings from critics, because it was right there. And another reason why I know that Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot doesn't get bought out by studios or whatnot, or to give movies good reviews, is because they're literally owned by Rotten Tomatoes is owned by a couple of movie studios, Warner Brothers and NBC Universal. So, like, if Warner Brothers was trying to sabotage their own, if Warner Brothers owns Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot, why would they want to sabotage their own movie by falsifying critic ratings? Which is not what happened. Like, the critic ratings are not falsified. It's clearly a bad. It's clearly not a good score. It's clearly a bad score. Warner Brothers is one of the owners of Rotten Tomatoes. Oops, hold on. Is one of the owners of Rotten Tomatoes, and yet they don't try to falsify their own movies. They don't. They just show And then look at NBC Universal, which is the majority owner with 70%. These are some of the big blockbusters, big budgeted blockbusters that were released from Universal. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Cats, The Mummy, Mortal Engine, Pacific Rim Uprising. All these movies cost well over $100 million to make. And yet they all got bad reviews. So again, even studios that own Rotten Tomatoes don't falsify the ratings. They don't. Because they know how critics work. They know what the system is and how it's supposed to work. So they don't tamper with them. And these are the owners of the studios, or at least these are the owners of Rotten Tomatoes. But then again, that begs the question: does Disney, pay off critics? Well, again, the answer is no, and there's a few reasons for that. For one, I find it funny that the fans are trying to, that the audiences are trying to say, yeah, listen to the audiences, not the critics. The critics are paid off by Disney. Even though audience ratings are the last ones that should ever be listened to. Like, remember that, like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a Facebook group called Down with Disney's Treatment of Franchises and Its Fanboys. Yeah, that's literally what it was called. It was a Facebook group. And these assholes were behind a bunch of pretty much behind a lot of plots to try to go onto social media and give movies bad ratings, and we'll get to some more of those here in a bit. But even bullying Kelly Marie Tran off of social media, saying, okay, it's time to come clean. I, along with many others, some of whom I inspired, helped force Kelly Marie Tran from Instagram, and it was bloody glorious. What kind of asshole does that? And clearly this is much worse than any of the Rotten Tomatoes stuff that we're about to show here in a bit. But these guys were the worst. Now, luckily, they're not on Facebook anymore. They're not. Like, they were banned from Facebook. Which, again, we'll get into more of the controversies that arose from stuff like that here in a bit. But, like, these guys were the absolute worst. No, hashtag no more forced diversity. Hashtag give us legends. Hashtag down with Disney. And these guys even had campaigns going on. Not just from, giving Star Wars The Last Jedi bad reviews, but they even had a scheduled event for Black Panther. Give this a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. Give Black Panther a rotten audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Hashtag DC over Marvel. Hashtag bring down Disney. And they were going to do the same thing with Avengers Infinity War as well. Hashtag DC over Marvel. Oh yeah, the event was called Let's Ruin Avengers Infinity War for Disney Fanatics and SJWs. Like what? Hashtag DC over Marvel. Hashtag Avenge DC. Do either or all. Leave a rotten review on Rotten Tomatoes. Spoil a Marvel fanboy / fangirl on the internet or in real life. Hashtag down with Disney. So, yeah, are these the guys you really want to, like, are audiences really the ones you want to listen to? And, and this Facebook group, Down with Disney's Treatment of Franchises and Its Fanboys, had, like, thousands of followers. These idiots right here are legit using, the Rotten Tomatoes platform to, like, in a way that was going against what the platform was made for. What they were going to do was give these movies bad reviews on, like, bad audience reviews without having to see the movies before the movies came out. Like, that was the thing. You could rate a movie on Rotten Tomatoes, at least on the audience side of things, before the movie came out. And it would affect the score. Then, when Captain Marvel came out. Captain Marvel. Oh, yeah, like, this movie, Captain Marvel, got, good reviews from critics. 48% from audiences. And I'll get to Alita Battle Angel here in a bit. But there's a reason why Alita Battle Angel's here. I'll explain that here in a bit. But, these reviews were coming in before the movie came out. Before the movie came out. Which, for one, they were completely lying about Brie Larson being anti-white. Like, I'm not the biggest Brie Larson fan. I thought she was good as Captain Marvel, but I'm not a stan for Brie Larson. I just think she's a pretty good actress and whatnot. But she didn't say she's anti-white. She doesn't, hate white critics or anything. No. this all sprang from something she said in a news article. Basically, the point of what she was saying was that, you know, if we're going to, especially if we're going to have movies like, you know, Captain Marvel or Black Panther or, you know, A Wrinkle in Time or whatever, then we should be, I mean, of course in general, but especially for these movies, we should be inviting more diverse critics to these screenings because, you know, I don't really care what, you know, like, and like, this is where people really took what she was saying out of context when she said, I don't care what some white guy says about A Wrinkle in Time. Now, that sounds bad at first, but when you actually read the article in context, Brie Larson was not hating on white critics. She wasn't hating on white people. She was pretty much explaining that a movie like Black Panther or A Wrinkle in Time or Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel is going to have a more profound impact on those groups of people more than a white dude. And as a white dude, I think that's right. Like, yeah, like she's not wrong. As much as I loved Black Panther, I know for a fact this movie means a lot more to, you know, a black kid in the audience, you know, seeing a superhero that looks like him. So, I mean, yeah, of course what she's saying is true. Like, these movies have more of an impact towards people of the groups that this movie is representing. She's not saying, you know, let's ban white people from these screenings, banning critics, white critics from screenings. No, she's saying let's add more people in there, more diverse people. Don't, like, no one's seat is getting taken away. We're just adding more chairs, which again is perfectly reasonable. But nope, the people only took that one quote completely out of context and then made her look like a supervillain. Like, no. And so that's what inspired these idiots right here. They're giving ratings to movies that have not come out. What's this whole Captain Marvel thing building up to? Well, Rotten Tomatoes noticed that this movie was getting review bombed before it came out, which again makes sense because that's against the terms of use. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Rotten Tomatoes started getting rid of the fake reviews, the reviews that were so clearly fake. But then people took that as Rotten Tomatoes is silencing free speech. They're silencing our rights of free speech. And like, you fucking idiots, you don't get it. You don't get it. Like, that's not what they were doing at all. A bunch of idiots were giving the movie fake reviews before the movie came out. Like, audiences were reviewing the movie, were giving the movie bad ratings before the movie even came out, before anyone had a chance to see it. And that was in like February, late February when this was happening. And to prove that I'm right, and look this up yourself, I used the Wayback Machine to get these screenshots. Avengers Infinity War. In this screenshot of Avengers Infinity War's Rotten Tomatoes score is from February 26th, 2019. Almost a full year since the movie came out. It had almost been a full year. And at that point, it had 52.5 thousand audience ratings. Alright? Now look at March 8th. Only a couple of hours of Captain Marvel being released. In just a couple of, like, not even a full day. This was just like a couple of hours. And in a couple of hours of that Friday, Captain Marvel got, what was that? 58.5 thousand reviews? So, tell me if this makes sense. One of the most anticipated movies of all time, with Avengers Infinity War, which had been out for nearly a year, had less audience reviews than Captain Marvel in just a couple of hours of its release. Not even a full day, just a couple of hours of its release, like that morning. I'm sorry, you can't defend this. Those were fake reviews. And again, look it up yourself. I went to this website called The Wayback Machine to get these screenshots. And the dates are right there. Look it up for yourself. These Captain Marvel audience reviews were fake. They were fake reviews driven by trolls because they were angry over something Brie Larson said that was completely out of context because the trolls chose to take them out of context and decided to rate the movie without having seen it. And we already have proof that fanboys already do this. We're already doing this to begin with. Giving out fake reviews, fake ratings on the audience page because you don't have to verify that you've seen the movie. All you have to do is just have an email address, and there you go. Now, Rotten Tomatoes has cleaned this up a little bit. How do I explain it? Like, there's two versions of the audience score. There's the one that they mainly show, which is the verified audience ratings, which pretty much they show the percentage of the audiences that did see the movie. Like that actually did verify that they saw the movie. And then if you want, you can look at the overall audience ratings and whatnot. But even I will say that the verified audience ratings isn't all that helpful because, I mean, granted, it is better than what we had before. At least people can't easily review bomb movies. Like, the vast majority of moviegoers is not like me. Like, I'll probably see anything. Like, I'm the kind of guy who will like see anything. Because, you know, I want to try to see the best, the worst, the worst, and whatnot. Yeah, because I'm a big movie buff. But most people are not big movie buffs. Most people just want to see movies that they were already excited to see. And, they're most likely going to enjoy those movies because those are the movies that they usually go to see anyway. Critics have to see every movie, or at least not every movie, but they have to see a majority of these movies. They have to see as many movies as possible, whether they were excited for them or not. Whereas audiences, you know, audiences go to see like maybe 4 movies a year, maybe. I mean, well, not this year, but like audiences really only go see movies that they were excited for anyway. So it's like, So I just don't really find audience ratings in general in any way useful because the old way of doing the old way of doing it, well, that's how you get shit like this. That's how you get shit like you know, like this, like fake reviews from people who hadn't even seen the movie, just to make it appear as if it got a bad audience rating. Or with the new system, which admittedly is better, but again, it only show like only people who were going to see those movies anyway, or go see those kinds of movies anyway, would have probably seen them and given them a good review. So it's like, again, it's not useful. That's why I just go for the critics. The critics are unbiased. They have to see movies regardless if they are excited for them or not, and it just gives a very clear-cut, you know, blind eye review. So again, I find that useful. But then let's get into another weird conspiracy amongst people, which was there's one weird conspiracy that people seem to have, which is Disney bought out critics to give Captain Marvel good reviews, while Alita Battle, in order to, and paying off the critics to give Alita Battle Angel bad reviews. Which doesn't make sense considering Alita Battle, for many reasons. One, Alita Battle Angel actually has a pretty good rating. It's 61%. Not amazing, it's not certified fresh, but it's still a good rating. It's still a good majority of the critics. Good enough at least to get a fresh rating, like a fresh tomato. But here's another reason why I think that whole argument is stupid, that, oh yeah, Disney wanted to sabotage Alita Battle Angel in order to make Captain Marvel successful. Guess what, people? Alita Battle Angel is owned by 20th Century Fox. Well, I mean, it's now 20th Century Studios, but it's still the same studio. 20th Century Fox, was the studio behind Alita Battle Angel. Guess what studio Disney acquired only like a month or two later? 20th Century Fox. So by these people's logic, Disney was trying to sabotage a movie that they were going to suffer the financial losses for, and Alita Battle Angel did end up losing money. Disney wanted to, like, their claim is that Disney wanted to sabotage their own movie so that their Marvel movie can be more successful. Which, again, from a common sense standpoint, that doesn't make any doesn't make any sense. It's really stupid. But also, from a financial perspective, it also doesn't make any sense. Like, their argument is that Alita Battle Angel, that Disney was trying to sabotage Alita Battle Angel to make Captain Marvel successful, even though Alita Battle Angel was a bigger financial risk than Captain Marvel was. Once again, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, that's just common sense. Why would Disney want to sabotage their own movie? And some people will try to argue, oh, well, Disney can afford a few flops. No, they can't. Disney just bought 20th Century Fox for like over $70 billion, which was like half of the Walt Disney Company's net worth. Not to mention they spent billions of dollars trying to launch Disney Plus. So, like, no, Disney's not in any kind of situation right now to lose more money. So again, once again, it's common sense. No, Disney did not sabotage Alita Battle Angel to make Captain Marvel successful, because for one, Alita Battle Angel was more expensive than Captain Marvel was. But even then, it came out from a studio that they were about to acquire. And in case you don't know this about business, when you acquire a business, not only do you acquire their successes, their revenue, but you also acquire their debt, their losses in revenue. Like Disney, when Alita Battle Angel flopped, and it did at the box office, that hurt Disney's pocket. That came right out of Disney's pocket because they owned that studio, or at least they were about to own that studio. Now, let's take a look at another thing that people have tried to point out. What about Danny Roth on Sci-Fi's podcast? This was last year, and he confirmed that Disney pays off critics. Alright, let's examine this, shall we? Alright, apparently, last year, this was March 7th of 2019, the same week that Captain Marvel was coming out, when all that stuff was in the news, he claimed, here's what he said. Here's the actual reality. Here's where we actually are in the industry. Here's where we actually are in the industry if you want to talk about the quote access media. Every single person that wants to have access to things early, that wants to get access to things so that traffic is drawn to their site, will on occasion what? Everybody at this podcast, everybody in our industry occasionally has to play softball, occasionally has to look the other way a little bit. Everybody has to do it. In the sense that I hated a movie, but I won't say that I hated a movie, or an actor behaved a sort of way, but you don't want to put it out there that it happened. Horn chimes in, right, because you might not get the next review, Roth continues. To some degree, everybody in the industry that is part of this quote on quote access media has to decide which battles they have to pick. Which are the ones where my voice is the one and that has to get said. But here's the problem, though. Everything that Danny Roth claims can be refuted with evidence that goes against that. Okay? There's evidence that goes against this. Because, for one, let's take a look at Danny Roth in general. Danny Roth, let's go to his Rotten Tomatoes page. He's not reviewed a single movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, he has not reviewed a single movie, only television series. His last review was the Zeta Project Season 1, which was January 10th of this year, and before that, his last review was Clone High, Season 1 of March of last year. And then, the one before that was July 19th of 2018. So, for one, this guy does not review movies that... he doesn't review movies, and also he doesn't review that often. So if he doesn't even review movies, then, like, why should we take his advice? If he's not really in that circle, then why should we trust him? And also, to what this guy is saying about yeah, you have to play the game if you want to get early access to reviews. Well, again, what's the proof in that? Because, like, there are many critics who give Disney movies bad reviews, and yet still get invited to see these press screenings. Like, how come, like, for example, Chris Stuckman. Chris Stuckman has especially been very critical of Disney lately, of Disney's movies lately. I mean, he's, like, you know, he would give movies like Aladdin, The Lion King, Star Wars Episode 9, like, giving them all bad reviews. Yeah, he still gets invited to all these, press screenings for Disney movies. He still got invited to, or at least got, you know, early access to these movies. Or John Campea. John Campea is another example. He especially, like, he did not like A Wrinkle in Time or The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he put those in his worst of 2018 list. Still got to see Captain Marvel early. Still got to see Avengers Endgame early. Still got to see The Lion King early. Still got to see Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker early. So it's like, again, what this guy is saying, completely, like, when you look at the actual facts, what he's saying does not hold any water. Because, like, the evidence has just been proven against that. And here's another funny thing about, you know, you have to play the game in order to get reviews, in order to get early access. Alright, well, what about the time when Disney banned the Los Angeles Times after the, after writing an article? Like, basically what happened in 2017, the Walt Disney Company, they barred the Los Angeles Times from its press screenings, from what this says, following an investigation by the newspaper into the media giant's business dealings with Anaheim. I don't know what that story was all about, but basically, Disney didn't want them to do that. Like, didn't want them to post that article, and when they did, Disney said, you know what, you're not getting invited to our movies. You're not gonna, like, you know, you're barred from seeing our movies early. But here's where this is the main thing that contradicts what Danny Roth says. It's obviously not part of the game, because when Disney barred the Los Angeles Times from press screenings, the media blew up. The media, like, news outlets everywhere said, really? You're gonna treat the press like that? Alright, we're just not gonna review your movies. We're not gonna review your movies. And even critics associations, like the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, the New York Film Critics Circle, the Boston Society of Film Critics, and the National Society of Film Critics denounced Disney's blackout of the Los Angeles Times. Each group voted to disqualify Disney's movies from year-end award consideration unless the blackout was publicly rescinded. And even Ava DuVernay, who made A Wrinkle in Time, who directed that movie, said that she stood with the film journalists. You know, she stood up for the press. And then look what happened. As with, what this thing says, Disney said, alright, fine, we're lifting the ban. No more. You guys are free. So, this goes against what Danny Roth said. And this is even to an even bigger extreme. Because this wasn't like, you know, a critic giving a bad review to some Disney movie. No! This was an even bigger situation. This was something that was criticizing the Walt Disney Company in general. Criticizing the company, not even their movies. And when Disney fired back at the press for that, the press fired back again, saying we're not going to consider your movies for awards consideration. Like, we're not going to review your movies. And all that backlash caused Disney to go, you know what? We're not doing. Yeah, this is not a good battle. We're going to end this. Like, if Disney can't get away with something as big as this, again, what makes Danny Roth or anybody else out there think that Disney would ban critics for not giving their movies good reviews? And to put this into even more of a perspective, guess what? within the past 3 years, all of these Disney movies got bad reviews. And yes, some of these are from 20th Century Fox. But remember, Disney would account for the losses of these Fox movies that got bad reviews. Or at least, whatever Fox movies would flop, whatever Fox movies flopped, that would hurt Disney's pocket. Disney would acquire that debt. So you have A Wrinkle in Time, Nutcracker in the Four Realms, Dumbo, Aladdin, Dark Phoenix, Stuber, The Lion King, The Art of Racing in the Rain, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Underwater, Artemis Fowl, and The New Mutants. And this is another funny thing that people tried to tell me. It's like, oh, Christian, Disney only cares about Star Wars and Marvel for their good reviews. To get good reviews. Because they're the biggest money makers out there. Really? Because if I'm not mistaken, Lion King was the second highest grossing movie of 2019, right behind Avengers Endgame. But even then, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker got the worst reviews out of any live-action Star Wars movie, beating The Phantom Menace. The only Star Wars movie that has worse reviews than The Rise of Skywalker was Star Wars: The Clone Wars. The animated movie. But in terms of live action, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker got the worst out of any live-action Star Wars movie. And so, where were all these idiots claiming that Disney pays off critics when all of these movies came out? When, how many of these are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 movies! When these 13 movies got bad reviews from critics, where were all these, where is it? Where were all these people saying, oh yeah, Disney pays off critics? Where were they when information came out that went completely against their claims? I'll tell you what happened. They knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong, but just didn't want to admit it because they're scared little babies. Whenever information like this, or this completely goes against what they're saying, they don't want to speak of it. Because they only cherry-pick the information that fits their stupid agenda. They only want to cherry-pick the information that they already agreed with. But I'm sorry, the facts are there. The facts are indisputable. Disney does not pay off critics to give their movies good reviews. It's been proven time and time and time again. A bunch of these Disney movies got bad reviews, and many of which pose a way bigger financial risk than anything like Captain Marvel. Like fucking Lion King cost $260 million, whereas Captain Marvel cost like $153 million to make. Lion King was a bigger financial risk than Captain Marvel. And people are also trying to say, oh, well, Disney doesn't care about those movies. They only care about the Marvel movies. They only care, yeah. I'm like, yeah, they do care about them. Did it work out? Maybe not. But they cared. Because I'm telling you this, Disney would not have greenlit The Lion King to get a $260 million budget if they didn't care. That's another thing. Studios do care about their big blockbusters. Otherwise, they wouldn't have greenlit such huge budgets if they didn't have full confidence that they could make a movie good enough that could make that much money. Because if they didn't care, they would have just given it a really thin budget. They would have just that's not caring. But when you put a $260 million budget behind that, or a $275 million budget behind Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, or a $200 million budget behind Dark Phoenix, or a $185 million budget behind Aladdin, or a $175 million budget for Dumbo, when you put that kind of money there, you're putting your money where your mouth is. Alright? They cared about making these movies good. They cared about these movies. It just turned out to not work out. And with Marvel, I can explain it, but thing is, Kevin Feige is probably just a genius. Because look, let's face it, the Marvel movies, like, they're very likable movies. Like, I mean, that doesn't mean you have to like them or whatnot, but you can't, like, to at least not see how other people could like these movies is just, like, completely one-sided. You at least have to see why other people would like these movies. And making excuses about critics, you know, saying critics are paid off to give Disney movies bad reviews, again, like I've shown you in this video, is factually not true. Not just factually not true, but it's making yourself look like an asshole because it makes you think, oh yeah, my opinion is better than everyone else's. You know, that's why critics don't say shit like that. You know, critics don't coordinate to give a movie a bad score because of some stupid agenda. You don't see critics fucking driving celebrities off of social media by calling them Ching Chong or some racist shit like that because they didn't like their character in a movie. No, it's just common sense. Critics are just not paid off by studios or bribed by studios to give their movies good reviews. All that is just a sad attempt by pathetic losers to make excuses for why other people have different opinions than them. That's just the reality of it. Some people are just so weak-minded that instead of just considering the possibility that, hey, you know what, maybe I just disagree with people, whatever. No, there must always be a reason for that. There must always be a reason why critics disagree with us, isn't it? There must always be a reason. Instead of going for the simple answers, people always just want to try to find something controversial. They always want to try to dig something up. But again, that's just, and even when they have facts, even when actual facts prove them wrong, they never stop. Because they're not focused on the facts, they're only focused on their own feelings. That's all they're focused on. So please, if you have any kind of common sense, take this video into consideration. Actually, no, not just take this into consideration, just admit it. Critics are not bribed by studios, or paid by studios, or Disney to alter or fake their reviews. Because as I've just shown you, if anything, it's the audiences that you shouldn't be listening to. Because audiences are irrational. They are irrational. Critics actually have a job to do. Critics actually have a job to review movies. That's their job. What use would it be to fake that? That's really the case I've made here. I've made all my cases. If you still don't believe me, you must be crazy or something. Because I don't know what other way there is to convince you. You're just wrong. There's no other way to prove it. You are objectively wrong. There's no conspiracy. You're just stupid. Good news, guys! We have merch now! Go to teespring.com/stores/ChristiansReviews to get your nasty little hands on all sorts of items, including my face on a t-shirt, my face on a hoodie, my face on a pillow, my face on a tote bag, my face on a mug, my face on a wall tapestry, my face on a blanket, my face on phone cases, my face on stickers, and many more! Or how about the Hannahcast logo on those items as stated above? Wow! And best of all, they come in so many different colors, including this! What is this color? What is it? I want to know. But wait, there's more! Act now, you can also get my exclusive Make America Cringe Again merch. Surely not a parody of the political climate we have today. Again, that's teespring.com/stores/ChristiansReviews.
Order now!